Is Galactus a villain? Technically, yes, but that's kind of like calling a hurricane a villain. He's really a force of nature. When he arrives to devour a planet, it isn't malicious. He just needs to eat. He hungers. If you're hungry to know more about him, you're in luck. Fans have yet to get a really good look at Galactus in the trailers for Fantastic Four: First Steps. We've seen his shadow cast over Manhattan. We've seen his giant foot stomp through the streets. There have been some quick shots of his torso and the back of his head, so at least we know he has a humanoid body and isn't a big cloud of gas this time. More on that in a little bit. As usual, the best looks have come from toys. We also haven't heard him speak. The trailers instead allow his herald, the Silver Surfer, to do the talking for him.
I herald his beginning. I herald your end.
But we do have a pretty good idea what he'll sound like. English actor Ralph Ineson's booming voice is going to be the one coming out of that big helmet. All the way back in June 2024, Ineson did an interview with the movie Dweeb, where he didn't give anything away about what happens in the movie, but he did vibe out pretty hard about getting to play such an iconic presence in the Marvel Universe's cosmos.
It's Galactus, man. I can't say much, but it's Galactus, man.
Before becoming Galactus, he was just a man. Galan of Taa lived in the 6th cosmos. That was a version of the Marvel Universe before the one we all know and love. The one with Spider-Man and Alpha Flight and all the rest. Galan's mother was Taya, the planet Taa's scienceer supreme. He was essentially born through in vitro fertilization, having gestated in what Taya describes as a womb tube. She's not a particularly hands-on mother, instead letting an advanced crib, the Technocot, largely raise him. Galan grows up to become a scientist and explorer, and he's sent to investigate a plague that's rapidly wiping out the universe. It's been called lots of different things over the years, but Marvel eventually settled on the name the Black Winter. Unable to stop the plague, Galan suggests that Taa's survivors fly a ship directly into the source of the radiation that's killing everything. They do, and it kills everyone except Galan, who finds himself imbued with mysterious energy. While fused with that strange energy, Galan hears a message from the sentience of the universe. We've all thought we've heard the universe talking to us, but he really does. It merges itself with Galan's body, creating an heir to the 6th cosmos as the universe dies. Soon after, a new Big Bang occurs, and the 7th cosmos is born. Galan, now a nascent Galactus, travels a new universe in a ship for a while as a being made of energy. One of the Watchers, Etche, finds a ship and brings it to a planet. He studies Galactus, who escapes during an experiment. Etche can already tell that this being is so powerful that it will require feasting on planets to survive. He considers killing Galactus, but instead decides to let him live. Galactus goes back into space and releases the pod containing the bodies of the people of Taa. He then creates his costume to regulate his awesome energies and reforms a ship into an incubator in which he can grow into his eventual giant form. The incubator, which would later be named Lifebringer 1, floats through space for eons. At one point, it gets stuck inside Ego, the living planet, where a time-traveling Silver Surfer finds it. The Surfer considers destroying it, but a different Watcher, Uatu, warns him not to, because Galactus will bring balance to the universe. The Surfer then speaks with Galan, deciding to let him live and simply remove the incubator from Ego. Lifebringer 1 eventually makes its way to the planet Archaeopia. The people of the planet leave it undisturbed for years, but it's later attacked in the midst of a galactic war. The moment it's disturbed, out comes a fully formed Galactus, who wipes out the space armada with one blast. Galactus then consumes Archaeopia and its unfortunate inhabitants. Galactus then spends the next several thousand years constructing a home for himself, a giant ship called Taa 2. It's so big that planets orbit it as if it were a sun. Even with all his power, even Galactus can't manage to constantly search the vast reaches of space to find planets to eat. So he appoints heralds to do that part for him. His first herald is revealed in Thanos issue 11 from 2004 to be the Fallen One. He quickly rebels against Galactus and holds a vendetta against him. Likely the longest-serving herald is the Silver Surfer. When Galactus threatens to devour the planet Zenlar, the noble Norrin Rad approaches to ask him to turn back. Galactus says he will, but only if Norrin will become his herald. Norrin agrees and is transformed into the Silver Surfer, remaining in Galactus' service for nearly a century, according to some accounts.
Norrin Rad exists no more. You are newborn, my herald.
After the Surfer left Galactus' service, the Devourer has quite honestly had a revolving door of heralds, including Airwalker, Firelord, Terax the Tamer, Nova, Morg the Executioner, and Stardust. Even Johnny Storm, the Human Torch, and Thor have briefly been heralds of Galactus. The Silver Surfer initially only finds uninhabited planets for Galactus to consume, but over time, Galactus' hunger grows stronger, and it becomes unavoidable for him to devour populated worlds. The surface time with Galactus comes to an end the first time Galactus comes to Earth, which also was his and the Surfer's first comics appearance in Fantastic Four, issue 48 to 50 in 1965 and 1966. The Surfer comes to Earth to summon Galactus there for dinner, but doesn't bank on a haymaker from the Thing knocking him through the skylight of blind sculptor Alicia Masters. Alicia manages to convince the Surfer that humanity is worth saving. So after Galactus arrives, the Surfer turns on his master and attacks him. That attack gives Reed Richards enough time to acquire the Ultimate Nullifier, a device that can cause any target or the entire universe to cease to exist. Galactus immediately knows what it is because it comes from his own ship, Taa 2. The threat of the Ultimate Nullifier convinces Galactus to leave Earth, but not before disowning the Surfer as his herald and trapping him on Earth as punishment. Galactus would pop up a few more times in attempts to re-recruit the Silver Surfer as his herald or consume Earth, but the Surfer and the FF turned him back every time. So Galactus eventually turns his attention elsewhere, specifically toward Counter-Earth, the planet the High Evolutionary created for his human-sized, intelligent animals, the New Men. Once again, the Fantastic Four, at the behest of the High Evolutionary, step in to stand in Galactus' way. After Galactus and the High Evolutionary battle it out in a fight for a little while in Fantastic Four, issue 170, Sue Storm alerts Galactus to the existence of a planet whose inhabitants actually want for him to devour them. That planet is Pop-Up, the home of the shape-shifting Impossible Man. All the people of Pop-Up share the same mind, so they don't mind mostly being devoured by Galactus. They all live on in the Impossible Man. The planet is so weird that Galactus gets indigestion from devouring it, and seemingly dies, disintegrating into pure energy. It only takes about 35 issues for Galactus to be back at it. Fantastic Four, issue 210 explains that Galactus is simply revived when his energy is absorbed back into a ship and reconstituted into his body. That story sees him once again attempt to consume Earth, and fail. By Fantastic Four, issue 243, Galactus has gone so long without feeding that he's very weak. Seeing an opportunity, Earth's heroes work together to actually put the cosmic being down for the count. After his defeat, the incapacitated Galactus begins to shrink and appears to be dying. Unable to let any living being die, Reed Richards uses the power of Thor's hammer to revive him. Even though Galactus goes so far as to call the heroes of Earth friends for saving him, he still has to eat and threatens to devour Earth. The planet is only saved when Frankie Ray, Johnny Storm's girlfriend, offers to be his herald Nova. Reed Richards is eventually put on trial for saving Galactus' life. Galactus serves as his defense. The incarnation of the universe, Eternity, finally arrives and explains that Galactus is necessary for cosmic balance. Galactus and the Silver Surfer cross paths once again when a group of ancient alien beings known as the Elders of the Universe concoct a plan to kill the Devourer of Worlds. They know a little bit about Galactus' origin, specifically that he's from the previous universe. The Elders believe that if they kill Galactus, it will trigger a new Big Bang and create a new cosmos, in which they will have Galactus-like powers. So they attempt to kill him.
Who violates the edict of Galactus with such arrogant abandon?
It takes the combined efforts of the Surfer, Galactus' herald Nova, and Franklin Richards to save Galactus' life. While Franklin and Nova trap the Elders in a black hole, the Surfer summons the personifications of order and chaos to bring Galactus back. The Devourer then beats someone the Elders recruited to kill Galactus, his counterpart from an alternate universe, the In-Betweener, in a fistfight. In a distant future, Galactus becomes bonded to an adult Franklin Richards, essentially serving as his herald. It's well established that the Ultimate Nullifier is the one weapon that scares Galactus, so it's pretty bad news when his former herald Morg gets a hold of it. Morg has already established himself as a wild card. He kills Nova and is so unpredictable that Galactus' former heralds team up to incapacitate him, but Galactus keeps him alive, which proves to be a mistake. In the struggle between Galactus, Morg, and the robot tyrant, the Nullifier goes off, seemingly removing them all from existence. Of course, it's not that simple. When Earth is threatened by Reed's incredibly powerful alternate reality grandson, Hyperstorm, Reed becomes convinced that Galactus' power can neutralize the threat. As it turns out, Galactus was simply hiding, by choice, in a dimensional void, and Reed uses a device to bring Galactus out from it. Hyperstorm then becomes a seemingly endless source of energy off of which Galactus can feed. Comics have to go on forever, so of course, Hyperstorm only feeds Galactus for a little while. In fact, by the time the 1999 miniseries Galactus the Devourer rolls around, he's hungrier than ever. Not only does Galactus have a new herald, Redshift, but he also has changed how he devours planets. Instead of drawing all the energy from the planet and its inhabitants, he has taken to simply consuming the life forces of sentient beings. This becomes an insatiable addiction for him. Worried about the vast loss of life this will cause, the Silver Surfer challenges and defeats Redshift to once again become Galactus's herald.
Do you truly expect me to believe you wish to resume your duties as my herald?
The Surfer then takes Galactus to the highly advanced Shi'ar homeworld in hopes they will have some technological method of pushing him back. The Shi'ar team up with many of Earth's heroes to fight off Galactus, giving the Surfer time to connect Galactus to the machinery of his own world ship, causing him to be devoured. He once again becomes just energy, which is dispersed throughout the universe. When there's a Galactus-filled hole in the universe, someone steps up to fill it. That's what the even worse Abraxas does in Fantastic Four Annual 2001. The Fantastic Four attempt to use the ultimate nullifier on Abraxas, but he takes it from them. So Franklin and Valeria Richards combine their powers to restore Galactus, who takes the nullifier from Abraxas. Reed Richards ends up with the nullifier, and uses it to reset the universe so that Abraxas never escaped his imprisonment. The Annihilation event from 2006 finds the Silver Surfer and Galactus once again on the same side. A group called the Seekers starts killing former heralds, so the former herald and master come together to stop them. But they're then defeated and captured by acolytes of Annihilus. Annihilus has plans to use Galactus as a living weapon to wipe out all life in the universe, but a group of heroes frees him. He then unleashes a blast of energy that destroys most of the Annihilation wave, Annihilus's invading force. It essentially ends the conflict, and the Surfer once again becomes Galactus's herald. Galactus appears in multiple TV and film adaptations of the Fantastic Four story that introduced him, including episodes of the 1967 and 1994 Fantastic Four animated series. Another version of that story is the 2007 movie, Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer. That's the one where Galactus is depicted as a big cloud floating through space.
It is known by many names. My people called it Galactus, the Devourer of Worlds.
Naturally, Galactus also appears several times in the single-season Silver Surfer animated series from 1998. Since then, he's popped up in episodes of plenty of other Marvel animated shows, including the Superhero Squad show, Avengers: Earth's Mightiest Heroes, Hulk and the Agents of Smash, and Avengers Assemble. Believe it or not, there's a comics version of Galactus who is a cloud too. Well, kinda, and it predates the movie depiction. Marvel launched its Ultimate Universe in 2000 in hopes of bringing in new readers with a streamlined continuity and modernized characters. The Ultimate version of Galactus with the three-word name Galactus debuted in 2006's Ultimate Extinction series. Instead of one all-consuming being, it's a swarm of robotic drones that consumes whatever it comes across. By 2013, after enough people expressed their discontent with any version of Galactus being a cloud, Ultimate Galactus was gone. Marvel Universe Galactus, sent to the Ultimate Universe through the events of the Age of Ultron event, merges with his Ultimate counterpart in the Hunger miniseries, leaving just one Galactus who's a big guy in a pointy helmet. The Ultimate heroes kick Galactus out of their universe by sending him to the negative zone, and he's eventually brought back to the regular Marvel U, the 616, by the Eternals. The first few issues of The Mighty Thor from 2011 pit Galactus against the gods of Asgard. Hoping to keep Galactus from devouring any more inhabited worlds, the Silver Surfer hopes to acquire the Galactus Seed, which is in the possession of Odin. Both Surfer and Galactus believe it can sate the Devourer's hunger for a long time to come. Odin refuses to hand it over though, because it's a sacred Asgardian artifact and he believes it will make Galactus too powerful. This leads to a prolonged conflict, which climaxes with a full-on fight between Galactus and Odin. Odin also releases the Destroyer to hold off Galactus and the Surfer. In the midst of all that, Loki travels to a massive limbo where he hides the seed from everyone. With the understanding that the seed can't be found by any of the parties involved, Galactus and the Asgardians make a truce. The Marvel Universe was the seventh cosmos until the 2015 Secret Wars event. That series results in the birth of the eighth cosmos, which is what the current Marvel U is. Considering how drastic the change between the sixth and seventh versions of the cosmos was, you might think that the eighth would bring some big changes with it too. But not really. It's basically still the Marvel Universe as it was, with some minor changes to make it more like the MCU. And some Ultimate Universe characters live there now. That's most of it. So even though the transition from the sixth to the seventh cosmos Cosmos caused some major changes for Galactus, it didn't really have much effect on him in the shift from 7th to 8th. He's basically still the same guy. Well, until everything does change for him a little bit later. Oh, and this is as good of a place as any to bring up Galactus' daughter of sorts, Galacta. She's 1 from an alternate universe, and 2 was initially a parasitic being inside Galactus who grew to be similar to him. Now you know.
Gross.
After the creation of the 8th Cosmos, a group of superheroes that dubbed itself the Ultimates started working on solving some of the biggest problems in the universe. The first one they tackle, Galactus' persistent hunger. The Ultimates find Lifebringer 1 and force Galactus back into its incubator, hoping he will evolve into a new form of life as he did before. And he does! The Galactus that comes out of the destroyed incubator has a new gold and white color scheme, and is no longer the Devourer, but the Lifebringer. He immediately returns to the first planet he consumed, Archaeopia, and restores life to it. A few cosmic entities see the change as perversion of the natural order and attempt to change Galactus back. But the Ultimates and some opposing cosmic forces work together to restore Galactus as the Lifebringer. One of Galactus' chief goals after becoming the Lifebringer is to release Eternity, who has been imprisoned, and to punish whomever the jailer is. He assembles a group of super powerful beings called the Eternity Watch to make this happen. They discover that the embodiment of the first cosmos, the first firmament, is behind Eternity's captivity. It wants to restore itself as the personification of all things. But the Ultimates and the Eternity Watch are able to free Eternity, who then summons the embodiments of several of the previous universes to take down the first firmament. Sadly, Galactus spends less than 2 years as a Lifebringer. In the Infinity Countdown event from 2018, he has to become his old self at the behest of the Silver Surfer. Ultron has plans to launch rockets carrying a virus throughout the galaxy, thus remaking it in his own image. Galactus has to consume the planet Ultron is using as a launching pad to prevent that from happening. Returning to his old self, Galactus comes back to Asgard in the first several issues of the 2020 Thor series. He literally arrives with a bang, crashing down from the sky onto the buildings below. The one-armed, terrified Galactus informs Thor that the plague that killed the 6th Cosmos, the Black Winter, has returned. Not only that, but he saw a vision of his death taking Thor's form. Thor allows Galactus to make him a herald, and Galactus quickly consumes 5 planets so he can face down the Black Winter. It's still not enough to defeat Black Winter though. Taking the form of a Thor-like figure, the Black Winter informs Thor that Galactus was his herald, and that the Devourer had been serving it this whole time. Galan being spared in the destruction of the 6th Cosmos was no accident. Enraged by the revelation, the cosmic-powered Thor kills both the Black Winter and Galactus, making Galactus' helmet into the entrance to his throne room. Galactus never stays dead, of course. In the Reckoning War event from 2022, the Silver Surfer and a group of other former heralds go to Asgard and use their power to revive their old boss, in hope of stopping the Reckoning, a powerful group of aliens with a vendetta against the Watchers. Upon his revival, Galactus merges with the Destroyer, creating an even more powerful being, called the Destruction. Though it looks pretty cool, the largely mindless Destruction ends up not being very much help. So the Surfer feeds it the self-destructing armor of one of the members of the Reckoning, thus separating the Destroyer from Galactus. Apparently cured of his hunger for planets, but not for knowledge, Galactus and the Surfer take off to explore more of the universe. Clearly, there's much to mine in Galactus' backstory for Fantastic Four First Steps and beyond, but we'll just have to see what stories about him Marvel Studios chooses to tell. Surely he's got to die and come back at least once.